So, today's your lucky day. You get to learn things. It's learning time with Jarvie. And the subject, as you can see, is up above, but I wanted to do a little short, since this is one of the first videos I've done sitting here in my recliner, just talking and explaining something, I wanted to start it off. So you can fast forward to the DeFi part, wherever that is. It's over there somewhere. But I wanted to say that blockchain industry, which is what we're talking about, blockchain, cryptocurrency sort of stuff, and maybe I can just have a discussion about blockchain, and that would be before this one, just so you know. So there's going to be some concepts in here that you may want to know from there, but maybe not. We'll see. You'll tell me if you think that I probably need that blockchain video, and then you'll tell me on this video, and then I'll sit here in my recliner again and tell you. But the point is that people that do videos on YouTube that I have found, there's some out there I'm sure that do a good job, but I haven't found them, and I've spent hundreds of hours. They're just so, they're either so, they talk about the money aspects so much, and they're speculation type podcasts, right? So it's like CNBC for cryptocurrencies. They're just like, buy, sell, do this, get this. Or they're programmers that don't know how to talk to humans. We're going to give it my shot. So I'm going to do the best job I can at explaining this. And this is a shout out to my brother, Matt, because I was going to do this video for him. And then I was like, wait, maybe other people want to hear this. So we're going to give my best shot of explaining DeFi. And specifically, well, let's start. DeFi means decentralized finance. And that is as opposed to centralized finance. What would be centralized finance? That would be financing institutions like a bank that are owned by a central, like a corporation or by a person. I don't think people own banks, but like a corporation owns a bank. It's centralized. And they make money and it goes centrally to them. When people these days are talking about DeFi, they perhaps are referencing a more specific product inside of DeFi, like decentralized swaps or decentralized exchange systems that are and decentralized liquidity pools. So meaning decentralized liquidity pools is a way of doing exchanging, and exchanging is kind of like a swap. So there's some synonyms going on in here. So if you hear these terms, they're kind of just related. And DeFi tends to talk about that one specific thing. So owning money, owning a token, a cryptocurrency, is like having decentralized finance in of itself. You know, that can be considered DeFi because it is like the banking is a way of centrally owning tokens like dollars, you know, currencies like dollars. But if you have your money in a blockchain like Bitcoin or Hive or Ethereum, then it is decentralized because no one else owns it, you own it. Okay, so but we want to talk about decentralized swaps or decentralized exchanges. So there's these order book exchanges like the stock market. It's like buy, sell, you know, I'm willing to buy at this amount. I'm willing to sell at this amount. Okay, fine, I'll buy the amount that you want to sell it at. Okay, boom, boom, boom. It goes back and forth. Those are order book type exchanges. Well, let's talk about liquidity pool exchanges. But first, let's make it so that everyone hopefully understands this. And this is the example I like to use. We're going to take some liberties with the example to make the math easier. Because this isn't some, we're going to be so simplistic that we're going to really explain it so that you understand it at its core in hopefully a simple way. And we're not going to just, we're going to make it sure that you understand this. Okay, so exchanging one money for another money, one currency for another currency, one token for another token. They're all synonyms, right? More, kind of. So, US dollar to Australian. We're going on a trip. Where are we going? Australia? Okay, glad you mentioned that. So how much do you want to take on this trip? $1,000? Great, because that's easier to do the math. All right, so where are we going to exchange this? You could exchange your $1,000 for Australian dollars at an ATM in Australia, or you can go to the bank here in the United States. So when you land, you already have Australian dollars. Okay, let's do that option. And I've mentioned this to many people, and they're like, well, what's the exchange rate? We don't know, but let's make the exchange rate 1-to-1 because math will be a lot easier. I don't know if it is 1-to-1, obviously. So we're taking the $1,000 to our bank. So here we show up, roll up at Wells Fargo or your community credit union, and maybe you've told them in advance that you want them to have that Australian dollars in hand. First of all, that's one problem. They probably don't have the money for you, just so you know. That's why people usually do it at the ATM when they get there. But let's say they do. And I used to work at a bank, and we would do these exchanges, and we would charge them a rate. Let's say it's 2%. So you show up with $1,000, and you walk out. Let's say the exchange rate's 1-to-1, right? And you walk out with 980. Why? Because they took 2%. Okay, so they provided you a service, and the charge was 2%. And maybe there's a transaction fee. The ATM has a transaction fee, and that's, I don't know, a few dollars. Maybe they waive it for you because you're a big baller and you have this cool debit card. Or when you're there and you're at this like vendor that, that's like at the airport, they have a transaction fee, but they also have an exchange rate. And that exchange rate may not be very good. So instead of 1-to-1, they're like, you give us $1, we'll give you 98 cents. Also, we have an exchange fee, which is another 1%. Also, to do this transaction, here's a $5 charge. Probably not that bad. Any case, you roll up to the bank, they don't have a fee, they have a great rate, but you still walk out with 980. They took 2%. All this is going to say that in the DeFi world, decentralized finance, the bank, the person offering the exchange of currency is you, me. So I'm the guy. I've got $1,000 of $1,000 Australian, and all I want with this decentralized protocol that anyone can put money into. Doesn't matter. They just put it in there, and then you can go in there and go, oh, I'm going to put in $1,000, and I'm going to take out, in this case, with the ones that I use, you would be taking out 998. And this is, I'm not like amazing at math, but 998 is better than 980. A lot better. So 1.8% better. Math. Fun. Okay, so this is cool, right? And then who's getting that money? I'm getting that money because I provided that service instead of the bank getting that money. And you got more money on the other side. And then everyone can participate and offer this money to be exchanged. Do you get it? I hope so. I feel like that was pretty easy. And now you know more than half the people using DeFi how it really works. No, I'm just kidding. They probably know how it works pretty well. But let's go another step further. Let's become a little bit more math, just for fun. You don't have to know this to do the exchanging or even to be the exchanger. So there are these pools where someone says there's a common need to exchange US dollars to Australian dollars. And let's set it up together. There's also, you've heard of Bitcoin, of course, and some others. So let's say Bitcoin, there are tokens that represent a US dollar. So let's say that the pool is between this Bitcoin and the US dollar. And you say, I've got some US dollar tokens and I want Bitcoin because I've heard how cool it is, or Dogecoin because Elon Musk liked it. And so you're like, I'll give some of these tokens to go over here, and it's a decentralized system, and I know I'm going to get it, and I don't have to trust anyone or the teller to like take out a few dollars out of the till, out of the, like, here's, and they swiped a few from you. That doesn't happen. I'm just saying. Any case, So you take these tokens, you're like, I want some of this. I think today, like, Bitcoin's at like 58,000. So I've got $58,000 US dollars. I want one Bitcoin. And they're like, and they took out their 0.2%, not 2%, 0.2% fee. And what did they do? That money is going back to the person that provided the money for you. And the pools get really large, okay? And I'll tell you why they get large. This makes sense. It makes so much sense. It's easy. It's easy, and I don't know why people aren't explaining it in hopefully an easy way. And maybe I'm sucking at it too, but not as sucky as most everything I've listened to. Okay, and this is more fun, right? We're having fun. 10 minutes in. Okay, so let's say that the pool of these tokens is $1 million worth, and let's say there's $1 million of volume going back and forth from Bitcoin to USD, Bitcoin to blah, blah, blah. And let's say there's $1 million of volume happening that day. That means everyone that put into it basically had their money being used. That's 0.17%. So if I put in all the $1 million, oh gosh, I need a calculator handy. That's 0.17%. Just a second. I'm back. Okay, so let's say it's $1,000 because I got the calculator right here. So it's 1,000 times 0.0017. And that will mean that you got $1.7. Doesn't sound like a lot. That's $1.7 today for your $1,000. If you times 0.0017, because I know I said it was a 0.2%, but you're only getting 0.17 in the one that I use. Okay? Which is a low one, so that there's less fees for the user, which means they're going to be use that one more than the other ones that are higher percentage, okay? Anyway, that's if you take 0.0017 and times it by 365 days, that's 62%. That means a 62% APR. That's crazy, right? Because your savings account is giving you 0.1, 0.2% APR. You find maybe this amazing thing, you're like, look, I'm getting 1%, 2% APR, 3% APR. It's amazing. And then you're like, oh, 62% is a lot better. I gave the example. If the volume, meaning the back and forth buys and sells of these tokens, of this money, if the back and sell equals the amount in the pool, then that's when it's that 62% APR, okay? But people look at it and go, that's crazy. That's a lot of APR. And so what do? That pool gets way bigger. So it becomes $2 million in the pool. And if the volume stays at 1 million, then the APR just went, I suppose, I didn't do the math specifically, but I suppose it goes from 62% to 31%. Just kind of seems to be simple math there. And then they're like, well, that's still amazing. So we're going to keep putting more and more money into the pool because it's just simple math. People want to exchange one currency to another, and they see that this fee is not going to be too bad. So they're like, okay, boom, it's exchanged. And it happens on some blockchains really fast. So the one that I've been using is Binance Smart Chain. I've moved, Bitcoin over there and Ethereum over there. And then I'm like, hey, people want the US dollar. They have US dollars and they want Bitcoin. So I've put into the pool both of those things. And so it grows. You look at it and you're like, or there's two different types of dollar tokens, right? So I put in, 1,000 of each, and then it goes back and forth, and then, oh, now what I own is now worth $1.70 more. Well, it's 1,000 on each, so it's now worth $3.40 more. Oh, and now $3.40 more again, and again, because I'm the one providing that money and getting the benefits of it. Pretty cool. So, did I explain it? Should we go another level in? I feel like we're at level 3 now, okay? So, let's go to level 3. People may have heard of yield farming or something to that effect. What is the most common usage of it? I've been playing around with this a site called Cub DeFi, DEFI, just so you know. And let's take a step back and let's say, look, there's a lot of coins out there, especially in the Bitcoin world, and there's coins that represent fiat money, which would be like the US dollar, the Mexican peso, the euro, the Australian dollar, all that stuff, right? And they're pegged, meaning 1 to 1. $1 US is worth 1 pegged US dollar. 1 euro is worth 1 pegged euro. In any case, but there are all sorts of other tokens out there from all these random cryptocurrencies and blockchains. And they're like, hey, look, we want our users to be able to exchange here. But it's like, look, I'm not gonna, when the way that these pools work, so this is where we're getting into a little bit of interesting dynamic, right? Different than when you're going to the bank and say, hey, I want this. And they're like, oh, here's this money. When we put it in, we're putting in like 1 to 1. One Bitcoin, and we're bringing out 58, like I put in 1 Bitcoin and $58,000. And then when you're like, oh, I want that 1 Bitcoin, then that means there's more demand for the Bitcoin and that price rises. You would almost say it kind of like slips higher, it rises. So it just kind of goes like, the pools basically state that the exact same value needs to be on both sides. So when you're putting in more of one side, that means the other side needs to, and so you're putting in more of one side. You come in with your dollars, your stinky dollars, and you're putting it into the pool because you want to swap it for something, exchange it for something, synonyms. Anyways, you're swapping it, and so you're putting in more, and the sides are like, we want to be the same. So the other side's like, okay, then you're putting this in and taking this one out. So it's like, okay, so now this one's more valuable because there's more of this and less of this. That means that the one that there's less of, now it's more valuable. Okay, so it just changes. So the bigger the pool is, the less your little $58,000 trade is going to do. Because remember how I said there's $1 million pool that seems like a lot to some people? It's not. There are pools worth billions in the pool. And so that means when you're doing your little $58,000 trade, your swap, your exchange, synonyms, more or less, that it's going to impact the price almost not at all. It's going to barely dent it. So these other tokens are like, this is where we're at stage 4 now. This is the 4th level in. They're like, we want in on this. But they're like, look, no one's going to come in and do a swap. No one's going to do an exchange if your pool has $1,000 in there, because that impact is going to be way too big. So they're like, okay, well, first of all, that project could like seed it, put a bunch of money in it, like $1 million worth, but the project's like, yeah, we don't have that much money. So no. So they incentivize other people to go in there. And how do they incentivize them? Because they have access to the inflation powers of their own token. Fun. But for reals, this is how they'll kind of do it. They'll give an extra incentive. So they know that maybe you would be excited if there's a lot of volume. If there's a lot of volume going on for swapping, they don't need to give an incentive because you're just getting fee money, basically. But if there's not, and there's not a lot of volume because people are, it's like the chicken and egg thing. Like, we don't want to put in the money, or we're not going to use this to do a trade because that slippage is going to be too much. And then people are like, well, we're not going to put into this pool because no one's using it. And no one's using it because no one put into the pool. And no one's putting into the pool because no one's using it. So it's this vicious cycle until someone says, here's a bunch of money. Or if someone says, look, we're going to give you these tokens, this currency, if you put into the pool. Okay, we're putting into the pool then, I guess, because your token's worth $1, and if I put in 1,000 of your tokens, then you'll give me $1. That's a pretty darn good exchange rate. That's like ballpark 40% APR. I'm in. Done. Hopefully that thing that's worth $1 doesn't become worth 1 cent, because that's not a really good reward. $1 is a good reward. Better than 1 cent. I don't know if you knew that. It's 100 times better. Math pod. Anyways, I'm walking through it, and it seems so simplistic. But here's the deal. It is. And no one tries to explain it so simply. You go watch these other YouTube videos and link me if you find good ones. Because I think they're out there. You just can't find them. But no one does it so simply. And maybe you still have questions. Ask me them. We could do some sort of AMA. If I get enough questions, I'll do an AMA. But where are we? Like, is there anything else really? It's simple. It's simple. I'll give you an example of a token that says, look, no one's going to use this pool to trade and get our tokens unless there's a lot of money in there. And no one's going to put money in there unless they're making money from the fees. So we're going to give an incentive. There's a project that I use, I think I just mentioned it like a few minutes back, called Cub DeFi. And they said, look, we're going to create a token. No one's going to use it until we give a reward for it. And so their token's called Cub. And they're called cubdefi.com. And for our token, we're going to give you, just a second, I'll look at the math. Okay. Just a warning, if you hate math, you've got enough information to set you straight for the day. You can end the video. But it should be fun math, easy math, fun math, because it's a lot of money, right? Okay. So our Cub token is, if you put in a pool with $1,000, like literally it's a token called BUSD or Binance USD, it's a pegged, it means it's worth $1. The token that's called the US dollar is worth $1. Imagine that. So if you put in an equal amount of $500 of this US dollar token and $500 of our Cub token into this pool, then we will give you 4.37 of our tokens each day. How much is their token worth? It shouldn't be worth very much, right? Wrong. For some reason, and an amazing reason, it's worth $3.50. Wait, you're saying I get 4.37 times $3.50 each day for having $1,000 worth in this pool? Yes. It's crazy. But it's a large reward. They want a lot of money going into this pool. So then people are like, that's insane, so we're going to keep adding more and more to this pool. And that's what happens. So it will find a kind of equilibrium eventually. 500, that equals 571% APR, just so you know. And there is risk, because that Cub token obviously is, maybe they shouldn't be worth that much. And so people are like, there's two ways of thinking about it. I'm just giving you their opinion. I'm not giving you my opinion. I like Cub. I think maybe it could be worth more. It just, more people should add to that pool because it's pretty amazing. But here's the two lines. This is where you diverge and you make a decision. You're like, there's a lot of risk here, because that Cub token shouldn't be worth that much. So it could go down a lot. And who runs the Cub token, and are they going to like suddenly inflate it with a lot? Well, we should look at the things that make us trust their project. But this is just an example, because there are other pools like the US dollar to the Bitcoin. Obviously, we like both of those. Maybe that's the one I should point at, and those APRs are still really high. But we're doing this fun one because it's fun. It's ridiculous. It's so high. Like, how is this even 500% APR. Okay, I mean, seriously. It will find an equilibrium one day. But if the Cub token goes up in value, then that goes up in value. And if people... Anyways, more and more people will add to this pool. It will happen. It is happening. It's been happening. And that APR will go down because now you would need as much volume happening to match the liquidity in that pool. It's crazy. Anyways, I thought that was a fun example. I don't know if it helped or confused. I did warn that the math pod maybe shouldn't continue if you were into it. We could do this Binance. Well, see what they're thinking here for the Cub people is, look, we're willing to give these out. The market decides its value. We don't tell you what Cub is going to be worth, but people are like, that's so awesome that having Cub in the US dollar can get me this. I'm going to go buy some Cub. I already have these US dollars. I'm going to go buy some Cub so that I can be in that pool. Well, what happens when you buy Cub? You're getting it from a pool and saying, look, I value Cub. And then the price of Cub goes up. It's funny. It's funny. Here's the thing. You can play it safe, be in a pool of 2 US dollar tokens. Let me tell you the math on that. For every 1,000 US dollars in this pool, between 2 different types of US dollar tokens, you will get 0.61 Cub. That means each day they will give you $2.18 worth of Cub. It's pretty cool. So 2.187 divided by 1,000 is really good. And then you times it by 365, and then you're looking at like 80%. Okay, that's awesome. So more and more people should be joining the pool. But then again, the value of Cub could go down. So people are like, well, I'm getting all this Cub, so now I'm going to sell it for something else. Maybe something else to put in one of these pools, or perhaps just take profits and then convert it to Bitcoin, send it to an exchange, and take out US dollars into your bank account. There you go. Either way, at the end of the day, you put in the $1,000 worth of US dollars, you're still going to have the $1,000 of US dollars. That's always going to be there, and you're still going to get the money from the fees, because people are trading back and forth between these 2 US dollar values. Because they're like, I have this US dollar, but I need this other US dollar token. For some reason. There's plenty of reasons why people do this. And it's actually quite common. More common than you think. And so you still have that money and the money you got from the fees. But if Cub goes to 0, it just means that you don't get, then you have some Cub that's not worth a lot. You still have your US dollars tokens, and you still have the money you got from the fees. So there you go. The kind of like the warning, what would you put, like the little, this isn't financial advice, but I want to give you, like, instead of just saying that, I want to say what some of the risks are. You have to trust whoever is in control of that US dollar token, and you have to trust the blockchain that it is on. Blockchain is built on the concept of, we want you to have a lot of trust. So, like Ethereum and Bitcoin are just two of the most trusted blockchains, right? And then, so the one that I use, Cub DeFi, uses a system called Pancake Swap, and they're on this Binance Smart Chain. So this blockchain called Binance Smart Chain. And it is basically a copy of Ethereum with different governance rules. Maybe not as trusted as Ethereum, but billions and billions and billions of dollars worth is being trusted in it right now. So do your own, you want to figure out if you trust the blockchain, if you trust the token, if you trust some of and the tokens is a matter of trusting their contracts. Are they really well developed? They're written programmer languages. Do you trust them? And so you go out and see, oh yeah, I trust them. They're pretty good. And so when you have that level of trust, then you go, oh, okay, well, I trust the pricing to go up is awesome. If you trust the pricing to go up, then you're happy. If you are wary about it, then you're like, yeah, I'll use this other one, or the U.S. dollar, and you trust the value to stay the same. So there you go. It's about trust. It's about forgiveness, even if. Random songs. You didn't know that I was going to break out into random songs. We are 30 minutes in. You think this is a long video, but the truth is you now really get it way better than most people that are even using DeFi, which is crazy. Hopefully you get it. Maybe you will watch it. I hope you watch this on 2x speed, because I don't think I spoke too fast. Watch it at 2x. You had 15 minutes that took a lot of people. I don't know. Maybe I'm just slow and found the wrong videos, but this was hours and hours and hours of information distilled. Now we're just shooting the breeze. It's distilled in like 20 minutes, because 10 minutes of this was me shooting the breeze and giving random examples and stuff. We're shooting the breeze now. Or you're watching this video to see how well I did, and you really understand this as good or better than me, and you say, look, this only took me 10 minutes to figure out, and I know way more than this. Okay, cool. You should be doing these videos, because everything on YouTube sucks. That's hyperbole, but it does. But it's hyperbole. It sucks. People suck at explaining this. I should put this on Facebook too. Anyway, do you have any questions? I'm open to do like an AMA. I could do this sort of thing for NFTs. I could go further down the rabbit hole on DeFi, on other things. I need to figure it out, and you guys hopefully would give me videos to do in my own funny little way here in the rocking chair. Here in the rocking chair in my Airstream. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want from me? That's another song. Anyways, I just want to make it clear. You are not going to get 508% APR forever. If you go to Cub DeFi and go in there, and Jarvie told me I'm getting 500, I want to make it clear. More people add to the pool, it will be diluted. So if the pool doubles, it will go from 500% to 250%. And I want to make it clear that if the value of Cub goes down from $3.57, whatever it's at, $3.50, and if it goes down to $1.75, then it goes from it also goes from 500% down to 250%. I want to make it clear. But then if it goes to 250%, someone's like, I'm out of here, and they leave the pool, then it goes back up. It's decentralized. There's no one necessarily controlling all of those things that are happening. No one's, the person that programmed it in and said, we're giving out this much Cub, they did it that one time, and it was actually just a couple days ago that they reset it, and now it just, they've done their thing, and now it's just market, the volume and the liquidity pool and words and stuff like that. I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed talking. You can see I want to keep going. You need to ask questions, and I hope you understood it. How many times have I said that? Because I hope I'm doing a good job, because I'd love to do more of these. Let me know. Thanks for listening.